Ethan had always been the quiet, reliable guy. The kind of man people underestimated because he wasn't flashy or dominant. But he was thoughtful, kind, and above all, loyal. When he met Olivia, she seemed to be everything he ever wanted: beautiful, ambitious, and full of charm. Their relationship moved quickly. Olivia had a magnetic presence, effortlessly drawing people in with her warmth and grace. Ethan considered himself lucky to be with someone like her, and though some of his friends thought she was out of his league, he never paid much attention to that. Love wasn't about leagues, it was about trust, commitment, and building a future together. From the moment he proposed, Olivia took charge of the wedding preparations. She had a vision, and Ethan was happy to let her bring it to life. He spared no expense, wanting her to have everything she had ever dreamed of. Whether it was an extravagant floral arrangement or the perfect venue, Ethan made sure she had it. After all, what was money compared to a lifetime of happiness? As the wedding date approached, Ethan noticed Olivia becoming increasingly distant. At first, he attributed it to stress. Weddings were overwhelming, and she had taken on most of the planning herself. She would stay out late, claiming she was meeting with vendors or catching up with friends for a last bit of freedom before marriage. One night, while Olivia was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Ethan had never been the jealous or suspicious type, but something about the way she quickly locked her phone whenever he was around had been gnawing at him. He hesitated, then picked it up. The message on the screen made his blood run cold. "Can't wait to finally be together after this wedding mess is over." Ethan's heart pounded as he scrolled further. The conversation was long, spanning weeks, if not months. "You know I only said yes to him for security, right? He's too soft to even suspect a thing. After the honeymoon, we'll figure out how to leave him without making it messy." His hands shook. His entire world, the future he had been building, crumbled before his eyes. Olivia wasn't just cheating, she was using him. The woman he had devoted himself to saw him as nothing more than a financial safety net, someone she could discard when the time was right. The betrayal burned deep. But amidst the devastation, a new thought formed, a slow, calculated wave of realization. Olivia thought she was marrying a pushover, a man too weak to stand up for himself. She was about to learn just how wrong she was. Ethan didn't confront Olivia right away. The initial wave of anger had threatened to consume him, but he forced himself to think clearly. If he stormed in and accused her, she would deny it, spin it in her favor, and maybe even cry her way out of it. No, if he wanted to make this right, not just for himself but for the humiliation she intended to put him through, he had to be smart. He spent the next few days gathering evidence. He copied the messages, took screenshots, and even found photos Olivia had exchanged with her lover, Jason. A man he recognized. A mutual friend. That realization stung almost as much as the betrayal itself. Jason had been at their engagement party, sitting at their table, smiling in his face while secretly stealing his fiancée behind his back. Ethan reached out to a few close friends and trusted family members, subtly asking if they had noticed anything strange. A couple of them hesitated before admitting they had their suspicions, but didn't want to interfere. It confirmed what he already knew. Olivia's betrayal wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was calculated. Still, he played his role perfectly. He acted like the devoted, clueless fiancé, nodding along to Olivia's wedding plans, pretending to be thrilled about their future. She had no idea that every sweet smile he gave her was laced with the knowledge of her deceit. The rehearsal dinner was the perfect setting. Everyone important in their lives would be there: family, friends, co-workers. Olivia had planned a grand event at a luxurious restaurant, complete with speeches and toasts celebrating their upcoming wedding. What better way to reveal the truth than in front of the very people she had fooled? Ethan made arrangements behind the scenes. A few well-placed recordings, a projector for visual proof, and the right timing to ensure maximum impact. He knew Olivia well enough to predict how she would react. First confusion, then panic, and finally, desperation. The night of the rehearsal dinner arrived. Olivia was glowing, dressed in an elegant gown, her smile dazzling as she greeted guests. She had no idea the walls were closing in on her. As Ethan watched her from across the room, He almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She thought she was marrying a man who would accept any humiliation, any betrayal, without a fight. She was about to find out just how wrong she was. As glasses clinked and laughter filled the elegant dining hall, Ethan took a deep breath. This was it. He tapped his fork against his glass, and the room gradually quieted. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight, Ethan began, his voice steady. It means the world to Olivia and me to have all of you here to celebrate our love. Olivia beamed at him, unaware of the storm about to hit. And since this is a celebration of honesty and commitment, he continued, I think it's only fair that we acknowledge the truth before we enter into this marriage. A murmur rippled through the room. Olivia frowned slightly, shifting in her seat. Ethan took a deep breath and smiled. Olivia, I have a little surprise for you. The lights dimmed, and the projector screen behind him flickered to life. A hush fell over the crowd as messages appeared, messages Olivia had sent to Jason. You know I only said yes to him for security, right? He's too soft to even suspect a thing. After the honeymoon, we'll figure out how to leave him without making it messy. The room was dead silent. Gasps filled the air. Olivia's face drained of color, her hands gripping the tablecloth. Jason, who had been nursing a drink at the far end of the room, nearly choked on his wine. This, Ethan said, turning to Olivia, is what my fiancé has been up to behind my back. And Jason, nice of you to join us tonight. You've been such a good friend. His voice dripped with sarcasm. A few guests turned to look at Jason, whose face had turned a deep shade of red. He looked like he wanted to disappear into a seat. Ethan, wait. Olivia sputtered, standing up, her voice frantic. It's not what it looks like. Those messages are old. It was a mistake, I swear. Oh, really? Ethan raised an eyebrow, his expression calm. Because the last one was from 2 days ago. Olivia's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. The weight of her exposure hung heavy in the air. Ethan turned to the crowd. So I just want to make it clear, there will be no wedding. Olivia, I hope you and Jason figure things out, but it won't be at my expense. The crowd erupted. Olivia's mother buried her face in her hands. Her father, normally composed, looked ready to explode. Jason pushed back from the table, clearly debating whether to run for the exit. Ethan didn't wait for Olivia's response. He simply turned, adjusting his cufflinks, and strode out of the restaurant. He had said what needed to be said. Behind him, Olivia's world crumbled. And Ethan? He had never felt so free. Ethan stepped out into the cool night air, taking a deep breath. For the first time in months, he felt light, like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. The quiet hum of the city around him was a stark contrast to the chaos he had left behind in the restaurant. As he walked toward his car, his phone buzzed. A glance at the screen revealed a flood of messages, some from Olivia, some from mutual friends, and even a few from Jason. He ignored them all. Just as he unlocked his car, the restaurant doors burst open behind him.
Ethan.
Ethan, wait. Olivia's voice rang out, raw with desperation. He turned slowly, watching as she ran toward him, her expensive heels clacking against the pavement. Her perfectly styled hair was now a mess, her makeup smudged from what he assumed were a few well-placed crocodile tears. Please, she panted, grabbing his arm. You can't just walk away like this. We've been together for years. You love me. Ethan chuckled, a humorless sound. No, Olivia. I love the person I thought you were. But that person never existed, did she? Tears welled up in her eyes. I made a mistake. I got caught up in something stupid, but I never meant to hurt you. We can fix this. Just please don't throw everything away. Ethan studied her carefully. Even now, after being exposed in front of everyone she cared about, she wasn't sorry for what she had done. She was only sorry she had been caught. You already threw everything away, Olivia. You just never expected me to fight back. A new emotion flickered across her face, frustration, maybe even anger. You're really going to walk away from me? Just like that. Just like that. Ethan smiled. But hey, you and Jason can finally be together, right? That's what you wanted. She paled, her eyes darting back toward the restaurant. Jason, he left. He wouldn't even look at me after everything came out. Ethan wasn't surprised. A guy like Jason never planned to stick around when things got messy. Olivia had burned her bridges on both sides, and now she was left with nothing. You did this to yourself, Ethan said simply, stepping back. Enjoy the life you chose. He got into his car, started the engine, and drove off without looking back. Over the next few weeks, the fallout was exactly what he expected. Word spread fast. Olivia's friends turned on her. Her family was beyond humiliated. Jason disappeared completely. Ethan, on the other hand, thrived. He focused on himself, his career, and the people who truly cared about him. And when he finally met someone new, someone who actually valued loyalty and love, he knew he had made the right choice. Because in the end, Olivia had thought she was marrying a pushover. But she had underestimated the man who was willing to walk away.